The other thing I really wanted to talk about today, which has made my morning really entertaining, is Victoria's Secret.
Okay,
Yeah,
please
I got the
expand on that so I know what you're.
in preparation for this conversation. I just scrolled their Instagram feed for who know it. It doesn't matter. It
Yeah,
was entertaining. It was a good time.
and your wife was there with you, just enjoying it with you.
She's out of town. It's fine. No, okay. So I don't know. Like I'm sure you heard because you follow marketing stuff, but like a few years ago, they shut down their whole Victoria's Secret Angels thing in an effort to be more body positive and to eliminate some of those problematic areas of the Victoria's Secret brand about unhealthy eating behavior and model thinness and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recently, Victoria's Secret announced a new campaign called The Icons.
I haven't heard
So
about
we're
this.
like 3 years past when they started to change their branding some, which has been relatively unsuccessful for them, I think. And they're bringing back multiple models who were previous angels. So the super models to be a part of this campaign, and they're kind of like the main faces of this campaign because they're big names and they're beautiful. So of course, and it's being met with
That'd be
some.
funny if they just had totally let themselves go from like they bring them back now, but they're like they've all gained 100 pounds and they're back. Anyways,
That would be bad.
continue. But
That
no,
would be bad.
that'd be awesome.
That would be. Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know. Anyway, is being met with mixed reviews. I was reading one story, and I should give them credit for this quote because it was interesting. Anyway, so they brought these people back, mixed reviews. Some people are like, it's great to see Victoria's Secret kind of like going back to where it was before. Others are like, how dare you bring these people back because they kind of represent everything that was problematic about the brand before. And there's been a lot of kind of a feeling for people who have paid attention to the Victoria's Secret brand that they're kind of moved towards inclusivity and body positivity has been a little disingenuous, and that it was kind of more a marketing play just to try to change their behavior, but they didn't really mean it.
Yeah.
And so Marketing Brew asked this question: is it worse to be inauthentically inclusive or authentically exclusive? And I thought that was a great question. They didn't answer it.
Interesting. So I just pulled up Victoria's Secret Instagram, and I'm assuming like they just went black and white. So I'm assuming this is that's the new campaign. Is these new black and white ones?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's the icon. And now it's not as bad as this one blurb made it sound. Like they do have plus size models in some of these videos. They're not the face of the campaign. But they're not like abandoning where they've been for the last few years.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're definitely moving back toward where they were.
So here's okay. If we need some more comments on YouTube, maybe I can stir up some controversy by me trying to mansplain a female brand. Okay, but
this is great.
So I acknowledge I'm probably out of my lane here, and people can hate on me. This is my feeling about brands in general, but we'll talk about Victoria's Secret specifically. And I'm coming at this just now, hearing about this from you, so I haven't put a well thought position together.
You've been watching their videos.
Here's what I have not. Here's what I think happened. And again, I know this is going to be. I'm not about to blow up with something crazy, but it's going to be maybe a little bit controversial. And there will definitely be people who disagree with me on this. There are some brands that will paint an image of them, whatever you want to call it, a feeling, an identity, an essence, a brand energy, like a brand, right? That people will resonate with in different ways, and people will resonate with that either because they like, yeah, that's me, or I kind of want to be associated with that. So this is where I'm going to be mansplaining. I'm going to get in trouble here, but I have to just, I'm being authentic of my mansplaining, okay? I think there are some women in the world, and men, who acknowledge the fact that it's like, yes, it should not be this standard that everyone should be stick thin, have big breasts, have, this Barbie like figure, like that should not be like the only, if you're ugly if you don't have that. They know that. They agree with that. They should be healthy. You should be getting enough calories and not stuck. Everyone knows that. But they also say, but we also agree that a person who looks like that is attractive, and therefore Victoria's Secret, even if we didn't love the Angels campaign, no one could say those were unattractive, like ugly girls. So the people probably bought Victoria's Secret because of the brand, hating the fact that they like, I don't want to buy into this idea, but I also want to feel sexy. And Victoria's Secret's the sexiest brand. Like, what I'm saying, I think I'm mansplaining because it's a women's brand, but you can talk about anything. There are guys who will go buy the latest LeBron basketball shoes that just suck on the basketball court. Like they could be playing in sneaker or like sandals and play just as good. They're not going to the league, right? But they're like, but LeBron wears these ones, and he helped design these. Like, so I want to play a little better. And so, do they think that only people who can play NBA level basketball should be allowed on the basketball court? No. And Nike's whole mission is like, just do it. We can all do that. But if Nike had put a bunch of overweight, slow, not that good players as the faces of their campaigns, Nike would not be as attractive as a brand. Even if you are the slow, overweight guy who plays basketball twice a month, you want to wear the brand that the cool guys do. That's what I think happens with Victoria's Secret. If you want to consider the models, the athletes, if you have a bunch of people that are more normal, I want to say unattractive. Like, that's not what I'm. You can be attractive and be plus size and things like that, but like more normal, what you see on a daily basis. It's like putting Nikes on your neighbor and having a commercial with him. It's not as motivating. So I feel like so my long roundabout way coming back, I feel like Victoria's Secret was never going to do as well becoming more body inclusive because people wanted in their hearts, they wanted them to be that way, but with their purchasing decision, they're like, but I want to be attached to the sexy brand. I want to feel that way. I want to be like, I want to wear that. And so they lost some of that idealistic. They lost the LeBron James model. And so I'm mansplaining. I've never purchased a bra for myself or panties. Like I won't pretend I know exactly. And I'm sure there's some women who are like, it's very comfortable, or I like this way this fits me, or that whatever. I'm sure there's different reasons. That's my gut feeling. And so I'm not making any claim of what they should or shouldn't. Like, it goes back to that conversation we had before about like standing by your values. Like, how much does a brand need to reflect the personal values of like the ownership and things like that? You might say, I don't care how much money it makes me. I don't want to show this type of stuff. I want to be more body inclusive. Great, all power to you. But I think that doing that will hurt, even if it's worth hurt the brand a little bit. So I'm guessing this is probably a better move financially for them. I won't talk about whether they should or shouldn't do that, but that's my ramble. Sorry, it took a long time to get there, but I feel like that's what has to happen. I can relate to someone as the guy in the sports analogy, where I want to kind of wear the gear that the best players that can jump higher, run faster, are way better than me at it, because I feel like I got the top of the line stuff. I'm assuming there's some of a connection between a woman and a female model. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but there. Comment. Give us our engage. Give us your hate comments so we can get viewed. But yeah.
So is this you being authentically exclusive? Is that what this is?
I personally, my own personal Camden values, I don't want to. I'm a pretty conservative and and religious guy. Like I like women to not be putting it all out there personally. So I'm not like a fan of like over sexualizing women personally. But from a branding perspective, I think forget Victoria's Secret. I feel like it's probably better to be authentically exclusive than inauthentically inclusive. That would be my vote.
Well, I think the story of the Victoria's Secret brand kind of tells that. Like they haven't excelled very well as a company the last few years, and it really seemed to go downhill once they started getting called out for being too exclusive and setting up ideals that were unrealistic, and then they tried to pivot, and maybe it is because they weren't fully into it that it didn't, maybe they didn't believe it themselves and that's why it kind of failed. But I do think there there is something about sex in general that like you want it to be exciting and special and awesome, right? And to make it normal or just doesn't,
It's hard. It just there's
it's not as, yeah, it's not as exciting, it's not as aspirational.
yeah, there's so much yeah
Aspirational.
aspirational. And it is hard. It'd be different if there was a new brand that sprung on the scene amid those controversy about what the old Victoria's Secret, and someone said from the beginning we're not that.
There have been, and like a big one is Rihanna's brand.
Savage Fenty
That's the one.
or Fenty
Yeah,
Beauty, yeah,
something like that. And I think they, from the get go, were more holistic
yeah.
than Victoria's Secret ever was. So
It comes down to people. It comes down to people often don't, and I'm victim. The people will spend different than their values, which is that's a whole market. It's hard to guess that. We'll put people into these categories and these target personas and map them out what they value, and that's still worthwhile. I'm not saying people shouldn't do that, but people there were. It's like Jim Gaffigan's joke about McDonald's. How it's like people are always like, "Oh, I don't eat at McDonald's," but there's like billions and billions of serves. So like someone's lying. Like people are eating at McDonald's, even though you say you don't like McDonald's. You buy McDonald's. Everyone buys McDonald's, and so it's the same thing. People that could get all this trashing on Victoria's Secret. I hate how sexist and misogynistic and how overly sexualized. Here, take my money though, because I want a new bra. Like people were doing that, and so the question is, do you want to like not catch any flack and make less money, or do you want, I don't know, it's yeah, like I said before, I won't make any claim that people's personal that I don't think making $1 should be the end all be all. So it's like it's okay to just say I'm planting my flag on this, and even if it makes it, I think that's worthwhile. But if you're asking purely about brand strength and financial benefit of the company, that's not, people don't always buy based on within their heart they believe, because brands are a powerful thing. Like image is a powerful thing.
yeah, I mean, just money is a powerful thing, and it will make you do weird, stupid things. Amazon, I would guarantee you that 50+% of the people who buy stuff from Amazon think Jeff Bezos is a piece of crap and does not deserve the amount of money that he has.
But it's so convenient to just get out your door 2 days.
So convenient, so easy. We'll vent about it all day long, but we're still gonna send him our money.
Yeah, that's what happens.
I think that's another great example of people just not. Because I'm that way. I am in my little more liberal and anarchist sort of ideal space. Like I would love for there to not be super billionaires. That it just seems wrong to me. But do I have stuff being shipped to me from Amazon right now? Probably.
Yeah. And how interconnected things are. If you want to like boycott or choose a different brand, it happened with like Bud Light, right? People were like trying to boycott Bud Light and buying the other brand that was made by the same parent company, and it's like, all right, you can stop. Yeah, it's funny. Interesting. Did not know about the Victoria's Secret stuff. I won't ask how you got there on that topic. Oh, you said marketing brew.
Marketing brew, yeah.
Yeah. I do have to admit though, I did appreciate. I felt less awkward walking down the mall, less of a creep when it used to be just like full on girl in underwear, and I felt like I got to walk and be like, what's over here? Because I was looking in, people thought I was gawking, and they toned it down, so now I can walk by Victoria's Secret and not feel so like I couldn't look. I feel like every time if ever I look toward that store, there'd be some girl and they're like, really, you want to look in here? So I never looked, but. Yeah, that's my personal crisis. But have you ever been in one of those stores?
Yeah.
It's like I've never been inside of one, but I feel like I heard that's like it's like a house in there, like hallways and stuff, right? And like it's like you have to like a maze. Is that not true?
Not the ones I've been in. No.
Is it a big open
Now,
concept?
now that kind of reminds me of like Hollister from back in
Hollister
like
was
my
like
high
that.
school days. Hollister was like that. But no, at least the couple of Victoria's Secrets I've been in were not that way.
So here again, I'm trusting
There
you
were
now.
like rooms, but
Okay,
it wasn't like,
not
yeah.
that. Okay. This is a little side note on Victoria's Secret. The last thing I do happen to know about this because of my wife. I don't know if it was a brand move or just somehow this. I don't know how the system came about for how they measure their garments and measure people, but according to my wife, a lot of girls kind of like getting fitted and getting bras at Victoria's Secret for their own little boost because the sizes are different to where everyone's got a bigger bra size at Victoria's Secret. Like
Oh,
two or
interesting.
like two or three sizes. If you go to Walmart or some other random place and get a bra and you're this size, if you go to Victoria's Secret, you're like this much bigger at the. I mean, you haven't changed. It's just the way they label them, and so you can be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm like a double D at Victoria's Secret when you wouldn't be elsewhere, and just like have that on like in your mind, like that's how big I am. Like that's supposedly.
That's really clever, though. That's a smart
Yeah,
brand move. Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Unless you're trying on bras, you wouldn't know.
I have not been.
This has been a different
I
topic for
I could
us.
probably get fitted though.
Think they would if you walked in and asked to fit you?
I don't know. That's a loaded question. I don't know.
Depends where you go, probably.
It does.
Huh? That's weird. Not weird, like that. Yeah, odd, but just the way. Yeah, the psychology of brand, but when it's layered on to something so that hits so close to home as like health and sexuality and like perception of yourself. Like all brands are kind of a reflection. Like they you feel a certain way about them related to yourself, but like
Mm-hmm.
that one's just rife with with lots of history of problems and stuff, and women and their identity and their value, and like to have a brand right smack dab in the center of that. Because it's not like they just sell general like garments for everybody, and they happen to have this women's line. Like it's always been like
Right.
it's for the girls, right? And so to be right in the center of that, yeah, it's weird. Like, how do we adjust? I wonder what those internal meetings have been like to figure out, should we go back to this? Do we hire this person again? Do we show that? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna make a prediction right here, right now, that over the last 4 to 5 years, at least ish, there has been a push to make more brands inclusive, and to represent everyone, whether that's race, body size, sexuality. It doesn't matter. Everybody's been trying to be more inclusive, and I think in many cases it's been a good thing to see representation in ads for people that you haven't seen historically. I think that's been a good thing. I I'm going to bet though that especially with the fragmenting of US politics and the fragmenting of the internet into our own little silos, that brands are going to follow that trend and start to be more audience exclusive. Whether it's for political reasons or not, I think it's going to happen naturally. I think brands will hone in on a niche instead of trying to be everything to everyone. And we've talked a little bit about that before, but I feel like we're really trending that way.
I would say I probably have to agree. Yeah. Hmm. Do you think that's good or bad? Like, I mean, from a personal perspective, not just like a brand perspective, like, do you want to see a world that has clearly this is for me and that one's not? Or do you want it to be like everyone feels like they can access every brand?
Yeah, that's a good question. I, as like humanly, I don't like to be exclusionary. I think it's good to be inclusive as much as we can and not hate each other and treat each other equally. And if you are a brand that serves multiple demographics and types, I think it's good to have that represented in how you present yourself. But at the same time, not every brand can be everything to everyone. And I am never going to be representative of um, uh, or someone that like a super conservative would come to for certain things. Like that's just not who I am, and that's fine. We're going to be a little exclusive at times. I think where exclusivity becomes a problem is when it is intentionally against another group. Like it's okay to have like I'm fine wearing this metal shirt from a cool festival, um, but like this is probably going to turn some people off to like who I am. I don't. That's fine. I don't care. But like if this was like screw people who listen to country music, that would be a little different.
By the way, check out our merch below and find that shirt you can buy.
Screw people who like country music. I'm gonna make that shirt.
That's funny.
But
Yeah.
no, that's my personal opinion. That is, I think it's okay for and many brands just to be smart with their advertising dollars do need to niche down and focus on specific audiences and cultivate a specific group. But as long as it's not to the intended detriment of another group, I think it's okay.
This whole conversation and connected to what we talked about last time about like being able to take risks as a brand and own something and lean into something and say this is where we plant our flag. All that kind of comes together in my mind is like the takeaway for me is as much as possible you really if you're the owner of your brand, which sometimes is a group of people or maybe it's a one person, whatever, you really should try to identify your personal um, values. Not that every value has to be reflected in your brand, but any value that your brand espouses, that your brand's attached to, should be something you personally resonate with. Because besides just authenticity, because then you'll know how to react later. So, like the Victoria's Secret situation, I think a brand came about because they like, well, this will sell, and then all of a sudden people had some issues with it, and because they weren't like planted on something that was their own, like this is what we hate us or love us, this we're all about this. Like maybe we should change for the money. It wasn't because they should because their feeling necessarily changed internally, but they're like, well, maybe this will make us more money now, and that's where you get flip floppy stuff where like it's okay to have from a brand perspective, it's okay to have some people not like you as long as you are about those who do and the values you have. And so easier said than done. I can't deny that it would be tempting sometimes. Like maybe we should just adjust a little bit to make to be more comfortable in this economy or whatever. But then you just setting yourself up for no. Basically, has any brand ever changed and then people are like, "Ooh, authentically, good job." Then it always just says this is disingenuous. Whether it's a person or a brand, like no one's ever like flipped their stance on something, and everyone's like, we fully believe you, and this is totally authentic. You're just gonna get grilled for being a flip flopper anyway, so just stick with what you are and own it.
No, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that too much, but it makes a lot of sense. There's an intangible to being able to connect how you as an individual feel to how you present the company that you're marketing for. And if there's a disconnect there, it's going to manifest itself in like mysterious ways. Like I don't even know if you could like pinpoint like that is an inauthentic message because of X, Y, and Z. It just feels inauthentic because it's coming from someone who doesn't
Yeah,
believe it. Um,
yeah,
and it's a weird human language thing. I think that's just we can sniff that out. We can't articulate it, but we can sniff it out. And so if you're trying to do something that you don't believe, people are going to feel it.
yeah. Along that same line, thinking again, I don't want to make assumptions about how you feel about certain things, but from based on what I know about you, and you talked about like your feelings about Amazon and Jeff Bezos and stuff, a brand that maybe is as one that would be one that you personally maybe would not feel as strongly connected to, but it's a good example of who hasn't done the flipping like the Victoria's Secret has is Chick-fil-A. Like they've gotten lots of
Mm-hmm.
crap for who they are and what they where they plant their flag,
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe whether you personally agree, again, the question about personal ethics and position and values is that's a whole different conversation. But from a brand perspective, they've been very consistent, and there's people who really don't like them, but they have groups who do like them, and they have not changed when they had lots of pressure to change in certain ways. Even I
Mm-hmm.
guess I shouldn't even say change. Their marketing itself is about cows and chicken. It's not like it even is reflective of the but the
Yeah.
behind the scenes, the ownership or money move, like they haven't changed that element of it. And it's funny we talk about people who like don't always buy based on their values. That's one where I know lots of people are like, I hate Chick-fil-A, but man, those chicken sandwiches, I can't find a better substitute. And the people like will begrudgingly go to Chick-fil-A because they're like it's really good
Yep.
food.
Yep. That's another great example. Yeah, and I think Chick-fil A's nailed it because you're right. They've just kept doing their thing,
Yeah.
whether people love it or hate it, and it's
Even
served them well with their love group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even just to being open on Sundays, like that's something that Chick-fil-A fans would love for them to be open on Sundays, and they're like, we're not going to do it, and they're like the most profitable per location franchise. Last I saw the stats, and not even being open all week like the rest of them are. They just nope, we don't need to do that. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Crazy. This was a good one. This was a good conversation.
Yeah, I feel like I rambled a little bit, which I guess I always do, but yeah, you brought up some good topics.